You just who you want. Yes, it is. Get your ass out. He will be released. Why did he do that time?
Now, I did see the notion out there that, maybe Don Lemon, after all this, do you guys think he will return to CNN, or do you guys think he will keep his show on YouTube? I don't know. I did see some comments out there, but this is what CNN had to say. The FBI's arrest of our former CNN colleague Don Lemon raises profoundly concerning questions about press freedom and the First Amendment. The Department of Justice already failed twice to get an arrest warrant for Don and several other journalists in Minnesota, where a chief judge of the Minnesota Federal District Court found there was no evidence that there was any criminal behavior involved in their work. The First Amendment in the United States protects journalists who bear witness to news and events as they unfold, ensuring they can report freely in the public interest. And the DOJ's attempts to violate those rights is unacceptable. We will be following this case closely. Now, in this comment section of CNN, the most liked comment with 23,000 likes says, "Funny how you failed to mention he was indicted by a grand jury." So keep that in mind. Now, this was like the actual reaction, or a very interesting reaction, if you will, or not reaction.
Reaction to the arrest of Don Lemon overnight?
Do I have a reaction to what?
To Don Lemon's arrest overnight?
Do I have a reaction to it? I don't know what that means. What are you looking for me to do? Jump up and down? No, I don't have a reaction to it. I don't know that the charges are unsealed yet. So no, I can't. I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, so there you go. That's the non-reaction. That is from Mr. Blanche. All right. Hakeem Jeffries, again, I will not be surprised because we're already hearing it as talking points. I do think next week we're going to be hearing a lot more of this type of rhetoric or talking points.
Should we expect any sort of organized response from Democrats to the arrest of Don Lemon this morning? And what do you think that says about the Trump administration?
Trump administration has systematically targeted the free and fair press because they want to intimidate America and oppose anyone who is not willing to bend the knee to their extremism. We are not going to be intimidated at all. The free and fair press is central to the foundation of American democracy.
Get this guy.
Thomas Jefferson famously made that clear, that he would prefer a country that had newspapers over government as opposed to governments over newspapers. This is central to who we are as a country.
Now, it should be noted, I don't think I've seen too much pushback from right-leaning content creators or journalists, right-leaning politicians. The only notable person I can think of, I don't know if you guys saw it, Steven Crowder did say he agrees with the arrest, but Steven Crowder also mentioned he's afraid it could backfire on the Trump administration as far as looking bad for arresting a journalist if the charges don't stick. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's what Steven Crowder said in a recent post or clip that he did in a show. But I can't really find any pushback from right-leaning conservatives or Republicans as far as how they feel about the Don Lemon situation.
And so Don Lemon, we know, is an accomplished journalist who was doing his job. as part of the free and fair press. There's no legitimacy, no basis to Don Lemon's arrest, no basis to the arrest of the other journalists, and the American people are not going to stand for it. And House Democrats are going to stand up for them. And the rights of the free and fair press as central to American democracy and our values in terms of who we are.
But how?
I issued a statement as a...
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. This happens a lot. Is like
What they can't use the news to manipulate us any longer. This guy right here, Jeffries, he's a clown. He don't represent me. He what you would call the Timu Obama. Okay? That's your boy Jeffries right there. He's a sea sucker. You know what I mean?
we have Hakeem Jeffries. Look, he's one of the leaders, so he always gets asked what is going to be the pushback, what's going to be the response, and a lot of times, I don't know if you guys remember, he had a very famous quote, and it was, "Just wait and see what happens." And that was with LaMonica MacGyver, the member of Congress who's being charged for assaulting the Homeland Security officer. And this really sort of looks like that same situation. You know, these very aggressive words against the Trump administration. You're going after the freedom of press. Well, what are you going to do about it is the question. And I think if you are a Democrat, I'm sure you'd want to know as well.
It relates to where we are, central to American democracy and our values in terms of who we are.
But how?
I issued a statement as it relates to where we are right now. It just happened. And so we haven't had an opportunity, even as members of Congress, to talk to each other about next steps. But of course, next steps will be forthcoming.
There you go. Okay.
Y'all ain't been able to do nothing. So that being said, we don't even want to hear.
Moving on.
Break out, man.
Jasmine Crockett had something to say about it.
What's up?
Donald Trump and Pam Bondi once again violated the Constitution. They're wasting your taxpayer dollars arresting journalists while protecting pedophiles and murderers, Renee Good and Alex Preddy. That's authoritarian BS. Again, I think, is it every single person that we've seen so far, as far as a lawmaker, has used this word, authoritarian? Authoritarian. Elizabeth Warren did not. Yeah, I think you guys get the sense of what direction Democrats might be taking things. Here's Mr. Schumer talking about this.
On another issue, last night, federal agents arrested journalist Don Lemon in Los Angeles after he recently covered protest activities in Minnesota. Once again, the administration is behaving no differently from police states and authoritarian regimes across history.
What did he just say? Again, I'm just pointing out. It is my job to point that out in case you're not listening. I am seeing the same word or hearing the same word being used over and over, and I'm sure you guys are also picking up on it, obviously.
From police states and authoritarian regimes across history. They've arrested a journalist for the crime of doing his job. And let's be very clear. This arrest is not just about one journalist in one incident. The arrest is a dark message to journalists everywhere. If you dare criticize this administration, watch your back. That's not a democracy. That's a police state. And that is pure authoritarian bile. Democracy will suffer if the government chokes our civil liberties. Under this administration, the Department of Justice has all too often become the Department of Vengeance. Don Lemon should be released at once, and the frivolous charges against him dropped.
Look, guys, I don't know how much evidence I can show you, or at least try to provide you the groundwork as far as what's possibly to come. I'm not the biggest fan of overly speculating or talking in absolutes, unless we know truth. But what I do want to say is, again, you're hearing this tying into Don Lemon, authoritarian, DOJ bad, Trump admin bad. And again, I'm just trying to show you guys that's what's going on. Now, Don Lemon actually had something to say. This is him outside of the courthouse.
I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court.
Alrighty, so there you go. And Don Lemon did go onto his YouTube show. I don't have permission to use that clip, but he did go onto his show and also talk about this as well. Now, we've heard this has been a very one-sided show so far as far as political talking points, and if you guys are subscribed to my channel or watch the show, you know that we do that. But we always try to hone it back in and take it to the other side. It's really like a roller coaster ride. You need some coffee if you're going to watch this show, or a Red Bull. All right, here we go.
We have Don Lemon hiding behind the First Amendment. Now, we're all obviously huge defenders of the First Amendment on the Ingram angle. Is there a line that you cross that removes your First Amendment protections in a situation such as this, Liz?
Oh, absolutely. And these so-called journalists that were arrested as part of this have a long history, obviously, of this activism. I will say in the affidavit, Laura, it mentions also how agitators were yelling at their children, telling them that their parents were Nazis who would burn in hell. Those words were in the affidavit during this church service. So this is not a protest. This is not journalism. And just for some interesting perspective here on what goes on in Minnesota, within hours today, we had Minnesota's Society of Professional Journalists chapter. They condemned the arrests of these, again, so-called journalists. But I was a longtime news anchor myself for the CBS station here in town. And when BLM mobs showed up at my home, interestingly enough, also led by Nikema Levy-Armstrong, charged also in the storming of this church. But this BLM mob beat me in pinata effigy in my driveway. And that same so-called journalism association took 5 days to issue a statement, not even condemning the action that took place in my driveway. So the hypocrisy always on full display, and the Minnesota media here, such a part of the problem, Laura.
All right. So, again, if you guys are following some of your favorite media personalities or journalists, especially if they're conservatives, you're probably also seeing some of this as well, where it's like, okay, well, where was the outrage when I was surrounded by a mob? Where was the outrage when I was attacked? And so, again, like I said, we were very one-sided on the show as far as we gave the chance for Democrats' left-leaning talking points, and now bringing it back a little bit.
Don, the indictment says you acknowledged children were afraid that parents couldn't get to their children. People thought this was a church shooting. Do you think you should have left? Good question, yes.
Okay, Don Lemon obviously not going to answer.
I think this is the best thing that has ever happened to Don Lemon. No career, no reputation, no friends. I just hope this doesn't inspire copycat crimes, with Jim Acosta, Keith Olbermann, and Joy Reid. They're going to be stampeding and breaking into all kinds, but of course they won't do a mosque. No. Get their asses kicked. But if you take it's a dance between the agitator and the media. They both know what they're doing. The agitator creates instability, and they even use whistles, which nobody seems to talk about, but that's meant to create.
Hey, on this show, I know for a fact, because I was getting a lot of hate for it. I used to get comments that said, why are you talking about these whistles? Nobody cares. When I was talking about the whistles in Chicago, we were talking about the whistles for a very long time on my show. And I don't remember what your name is, but I remember that one comment. That's one guy kept saying, you keep talking about these whistles, it's not a big deal. Now every single clip we watch has a whistle in it, just about.
Instability, mental instability in law enforcement. It's a known tactic. So they taunt, they're aggressive, they're violent, and then when the media appears, they declare victim status. They're what's called a cry bully. So they get you all riled up, and then they fall down like a pro soccer player, you know, when a ball comes rolling at them. The media did the same thing in the Summer of Love, where they just airbrush a filter of romance over insanity. The neat thing about Lemon is he collapses the agitation and the media into one ghoulish, comical symbol. Him. He's both the media and the agitator in one. Saves a lot of time. Meanwhile, what the politicians are doing is they're indulging a moral panic, which they did with Trump and trans and COVID.
And I'll be honest with you, it is hard to find that specific talking point. We have to assume there are people. Look, we know on one side people are upset with Don Lemon. On the other side, people love what he did and he shouldn't be arrested. But then what about that middle that he's talking about as far as Don Lemon? You may consider him a journalist, but you may not be too happy with what he did there. He may have crossed the line. It is virtually impossible to hear or find that talking point, so I apologize I'm not able to find that for you guys. But again, I guess we could call it a silent majority, not silent majority, but the silent ones out there who may like Don Lemon but don't like his actions. We're just not finding anything like that. And if it's out there, I mean, man, it's hard to
find themselves protecting rapists, pedophiles, because in their world of indiscriminate compassion, they actually don't see the violent criminal. They just see whoever is punishing them. And you'll notice this especially, and it came to my mind watching this, how the left and the media never pay attention to heinous murderers until they're on death row facing execution. So they don't care.
And this is what the Trump administration refers to as the silent majority. I actually have a clip. I just didn't play it just to move on with the show. President Trump talks about that silent majority as far as there are people that like what the Trump administration do, but they're just not saying anything. And you guys hear that a lot, the silent majority.
About any of the victims, but when it comes to the criminals' time in the seat, they freak out. Last point, Jacob Fry, is that his name? Mm-hmm. He said, if you don't do something about this, your city is next.
All right. And somebody left a comment. I'm sorry, I did not see your name. King of Donaires. You need to read the indictment, T-Sply. We actually read the whole indictment yesterday, if you guys want to see that video. And make sure to please subscribe and turn on your notifications so you guys don't miss those types of videos. Now, here is the other journalist, Georgia Fort.
Or not.
Again, I do not recall any of the lawmakers or higher profile lawmakers talking about her in their comments, mainly speaking on Don Lemon or speaking about Don Lemon in connection to talking points.
I should be protected under the First Amendment, just like all of the journalists who I've been advocating for too. I've been advocating for mainstream media journalists who have been brutalized for months. Do we have a constitution? That is the pressing question that should be on the front of everyone's minds. And so to everybody who showed up today, thank you. Please continue to support the other people who are being charged. Obviously, because there's ongoing litigation, there is not much that
It benefits you. Right now, she got locked up because she ran in the church, right? Disrespecting these people in the middle of prayer. And now you crying because you got locked up. Man, ain't nobody trying to hear those crocodile tears, man. Get on out of here.
Say beyond what I'm saying now, but
to my understanding, the other people being charged are not claiming to be journalists, by the way. I think the word journalist, I think, is being referred to her mainly and Don Lemon. If there were other journalists, I did not see that report, but when we keep hearing the word journalist, again, I think it's her and Mr. Lemon.
Amplifying the
Ooh, we got that reggae. Today, we're gonna be making beats you guys send me, okay? So let's go.
Chinchy, please do my beat.
Bro, is that your homework?
We ain't doing no beat.
by concerned community members, those questions still need to be answered. And as a journalist, I am committed to continuing to follow the story until their questions are answered.
Alrighty, so those are her statements. And again, she was the one who released that video as far as the moment she was about to get arrested in her household. Now, some people, of course, do not think Mr. Lemon is a journalist.
I know you save unpopular opinions for Table for Five, which everyone should watch on Saturday mornings, but I'm going to start with an unpopular opinion, and that is calling Don Lemon a journalist is like calling AOC a free market capitalist. He is an activist. Look at his YouTube page. Here's a couple of titles of recent videos. 1, this is how to deal with ICE goons. 2, the viral MAGA idiot. 3, Don goes off on MAGA and ICE.
So is it your position
this is someone
that
who is not a
anybody
journalist. He is an
is
activist.
it?
I know
Alright, so you guys can leave your comments down below. I couldn't tell if Abby was smirking at those comments or titles, but yeah, just to throw it out there, I mean, YouTube is definitely a different landscape as far as titling and imagery. It's not just about the video, it's obviously about everything else, so keep that in mind. Alright, so I think you guys get it. That is the responses from the different responses as far as Don Lemon. Again, I do think next week we'll be seeing a lot more of that. Now, yesterday was technically a day of shutdown, not referring to the actual government shutdown, but the protests that were occurring around the United States. And here is some of that. So this is Minneapolis.
And then just lastly, what's your message to the people who are not here in Minneapolis and Minnesota, who haven't experienced what people who have been living here have been experiencing?
Believe what you see, not what you're told, not what you hear. Take the evidence and make your own judgment about it. And know that we are all people and we are all oppressed. And we have to stay together and believe the truth and find it together and stand together.
Okay, thank you. Stay warm, all right?
All right, so I thought you guys would find that interesting.
Man, shut up, man. Sick of these people.
I thought you'd also find this interesting. Here's Mayor Jacob Fry.
First of all,
I met with the U.S. Senate and House Democrat leaders in D.C. on Thursday. There's broad consensus how ICE is operating in Minneapolis is wrong and needs to stop. I'll take all of us, local to federal, pushing for change, proud to stand with so many leaders on this. Again, the honing in on ICE. Be on the lookout as far as how that's going to work, considering ICE already has the money they need to operate for a while. And the budget has to do with Homeland Security broadly, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, let's try to fight on for it.
ICE is still going to be funded for the next 3 or 4 years because of appropriations we put in on one big beautiful bill. What it does shut down is FEMA, it shuts down Secret Service, it shuts down TSA, and it shuts down our Coast Guard. And so we're trying to get an impasse. President Trump has come out and said, listen, I'll work with Chuck Schumer, I'll work with the Democrats, I'll do what we can. But what the likely path is, Martha, is we'll probably end up having to spin off the 5 bills, which will fund roughly 97% of the government.
And that's where we're at right now.
And then we're trying to do at least a short-term CR for 2 to 4 weeks, possibly. We've asked for actually 6 weeks, and try to work out their differences here.
All right. So, yeah, you guys heard those agencies would be the most effective, but as of right now, we have like 10 days of funding. Sorry about that. Here's Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock.
Another goofball.
If Trump had this kind of paramilitary force at his beck and call on January 6th, would he not have used it to seize voting machines, to intimidate voters, to steal the election?
Already debunked. It was fake news, my man. And look, he's still up here spewing that nonsense, man. He must then get the updated version of the draft. He's still reading that shit they gave him a couple of months back. He's another goofy, man. Trust me, man. This dude is not for y'all, man. Whoever voted do, think about what he's doing. Think about what he's done for you in the last 4 years, man. Listen to the words that he spew out his mouth, man. It's all against you, man. Nothing for you, man. Just watch this little punk he say right now. Watch.
Outright. And yet ICE has become a paramilitary force accountable to one man. Masked agents, military gear, intimidation, random violence against ordinary citizens. This is not the stuff of democracy. This is not America. This is the kind of thing you see in military dictatorship. And so here's the question in front of us. Are we still a democracy, or have we become something else, a place where ordinary citizens live under the thumb of abusive, unchecked, unaccountable government power? It's time, it's past time for us to stand up against the chaos and the destruction that we're seeing in real time, and that's what I'm doing right now in the United States Senate. No additional funding for ICE.
I mean, again, like you guys just heard, ICE is already funded, so just want to let you guys know.
Until the cruelty stops and this violence against our constitutional rights ends.
All right, so I'm getting possibly breaking news, or to me it's pretty big. Tricia McLaughlin just did an interview and is talking about operations in Minneapolis and New York and using the words flooding the zone. Could this be a new indication of what's to come? Let me cue that up for you guys real fast so we can see what this is about. Again, this is what happens when you join the live show. We sort of get that news real quick. So I am very curious what this is about. Because operations in New York City is definitely going to be rather interesting. We know what the stances of the mayor is out there, but we also know that the if you don't know, the New York City Police Department actually cooperates with Homeland Security a lot more than people realize. Last week, it was like 60 protesters were arrested for protesting ICE. That's a lot. So here we go.
Let's bring in DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin. Tricia, precisely the agreement that was come to between Tom Homan and Keith Ellison was to let ICE get these immigrants out of the prisons. It is safer for everyone, not on the street operations. So it seems like Spanberger, she didn't get the memo?
I guess she didn't get the memo because we had a great partnership with Glenn Youngkin and his team on the ground there to make sure that when these criminal illegal aliens who are in the jails, in their custody, once they serve their time, that we are notified and they can be turned over to ICE to be released back into their own country. But Kaylee, I want to give you one example, and your viewers one example of a direct response to this. There is an illegal alien that we arrested from El Salvador in September of last year. He was arrested for strangling with an electric cord his 8-month-old sister.
Oh, my goodness.
She was killed because of the policies, because of these new sanctuary city policies out of Virginia. Once this individual serves his time, he will go back onto Virginia's streets because we're not allowed to be notified.
And you guys are probably seeing this a lot more. This is being pushed very hard right now from Homeland Security. If you guys go on their the DHS website or the DHS X page, formerly known as Twitter, they're posting a lot more than usual as far as the worst of the worst is what Homeland Security often refers to some of these people as.
That is absolutely heinous, and Virginians are going to be...
And again, there's a really big push from the Trump administration, I think, in the messaging to let people know about these detainers. When I first started making these videos, I don't think people realized what sanctuary cities, what the policies were really about, and the complications it can create as far as cooperation between the federal government and the state-level governments.
A lot less safe because of this policy.
Tricia, that is insane, what you just told me. And I saw on your Twitter feed that in New York, this is just likewise insane. 6,947 illegal aliens with criminal records were just let out on the streets of New York right behind me.
That's exactly right. And we saw the same out of Minneapolis, which, of course, we're trying to solve for. I'm so glad that Tom Homan is on the ground there, trying to make really what is common sense deals, because all we're asking for is for state and local cooperation. I mean, just a couple more of these individuals that we've picked up off of the street in the last few days, Kaylee, out of Minneapolis. An individual from Laos convicted for rape and sexual assault. An individual from Vietnam convicted for sexual assault, homicide, negligent manslaughter. Another from Laos convicted for homicide. These are the people who've been walking around Minneapolis with impunity for the last few years, and who ICE, because we're not allowed into those jails, we have to flood the zone and get these individuals out of the country. That's what we're doing in Minneapolis. That's what we're going to be doing in New York with those sanctuary city policies.
All right, so you heard it straight from her. That's what we will be doing in New York as well. All right. Let us continue. Going back to what we were watching before, if I can get... Yeah, we just saw that.
I want sanctuary city policy to end.
That's a very short clip. We do have a $5 donation. Thank you for that from Carmen. Carmen said, Mao Zedong insurgency plan book at play here. Elites, foreigners want control of country. Brainwashed puppets, not insurrection. Wake up, says Carmen. Moving forward here.
You didn't make that qualification.
That's not
you
hard.
didn't make that distinction.
I don't have a problem.
You did not
saying,
make
Sean,
that distinction.
Wait, Sean, you're not letting me answer the question. I don't have a problem saying that the people you're scrolling on my screen should be prosecuted because they broke the law. I don't understand why the right has such a problem saying that federal officials who break the law should be prosecuted. And candidly, yes, I do think if you're wearing a mask trying to enforce the law, you think you're above it, you're a coward. I don't have a problem saying that. When I served in Iraq and people were actually shooting at me, I never wore a mask. People said lots of mean things to me. I never wore a mask. People assaulted me with that. They tried to kill me too, but when they assaulted us, we didn't turn around and murder them. That's just acting as a professional.
Okay, so again, I'm sure we hear this a lot. Generally speaking, a lot of times Democrats who don't like ICE will say, I don't like crime as well. But as far as the cooperation, when it comes to the type of people we've seen scrolling on the screen here, I think there's still a lot of questions people have on the right and left as far as why is there still a lack of communication or cooperation in finding some of these criminals, regardless of what sanctuary city we're talking about. So even myself, who looks into sanctuary policies every single day, 24/7, it's still very hard to find reasons as to why there's a lack of communication and cooperation. Now, Minnesota is claiming that the numbers are wrong. The Trump administration is citing wrong numbers as far as how many detainers there are. The Trump admin is saying there's like 1,200. Minnesota is saying there's 400. But we also noted that a lot of people don't care if it's 400 or 4,000. I think people still want to know why there's still no communication going on. So I will be keeping you up to date with that.
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Could I ask you your reaction to the Republicans' new voter integrity plan, the mega bill, and are there any provisions that the Democrats could support there?
It's a dead-on-arrival bill. They know it. Listen, voter suppression is part of the Republican plan to try desperately to hold on to power. Republicans, since the beginning of this administration, have been losing elections all across the country. They've been wiped out electorally. The American people know that it's Democrats who are focused on making their life better, driving down the high cost of living, and fixing our broken healthcare system. And it's Republicans who have unleashed this extremism and brutality on the American people and this assault on the American way of life, our values and our democracy, and have had enough of it. And so Republicans are playing games, just like was evidenced by the unprecedented FBI raid in Fulton County, Georgia. Republicans don't want a free and fair election because they know when that happens, and will ensure that it happens, they're going to lose. They're going to lose the House. They're going to get crushed all throughout America.
All right, so I figured you guys would want to see that. Again, sort of shifting that blame to Republicans from Mr. Hakeem Jeffries saying they don't want a fair election. His words. Now, I put this clip in the wrong place. So I found this interesting. Mayor Karen Bass, while the protests were occurring in Los Angeles, was doing this interview with CNN, and then, like, in the background, there was literally the protest going on. That was yesterday, last night.
Well, I can tell you that the situation is under control, but it is ongoing.
And I do want to point out, here are the federal agents, obviously, and I want you guys to look at this part of the screen. Right here.
Well, I can tell you that the situation is under control, but it is ongoing. And there was a interaction that was violent for a minute, but it was brought under control. First, you had the federal officers defending the federal building, and they acted in the beginning, and they dispersed tear gas. Then when it moved into the street, then of course the Los Angeles Police Department takes over. There is a show of force there, but so far they have been managing it. I think it's down to about 150 people, and they're kind of scattered around one particular intersection. So I think that it will end okay, but we are on a tactical alert right now in our city, and all of this is unnecessary. We have to go back to the origin of all of these protests. Nobody would be protesting now in the street if Minneapolis hadn't happened. We wouldn't have had protests in Los Angeles if they hadn't invaded us.
All right. So, yeah, I was curious what you guys were going to think about that. Karen Bass notably calling what happened in Los Angeles an invasion.
Look, I've seen the videos. We all have. These are people, these people are spitting on cops, and they're cursing cops, and they're cursing their children, and they're blowing whistles in their ears to try to affect their hearing. They're burning Christmas trees. They're blocking the roadways. They're kicking out tail lights. This is not peaceful protest. And I have great respect for the congressman that was on before me, but how can one person be so wrong about so many issues as the congressman? It's a gift, man. No disrespect, congressman, but you need to eat more fiber. Just turn on and watch TV. Look at the videos.
All right, so let me know what you guys think about him. Senator John Kennedy, I think, represents another portion of viewers or observers who watch some of these protests. As far as, you know, some people say it's peaceful, some people say it's not. Here's a little bit more on-the-ground action as far as Los Angeles.
You can see an officer back there. He's alone, and they're just throwing things at him. I mean, it's just pretty incredible that these protesters have overtaken this, and there's no police. I don't see anybody.
Now, remember, in the Karen Bass interview, she was saying, you know, the federal agents, they were defending themselves, and then once they got pushed back to the street, that is when the cops showed up. Now, I don't have the Google Maps open for you guys, but just keep in mind, this distance right here is not a lot. It's maybe like 200 feet from this doorway to the public roadway. And so as far as, like you can see right here, not a lot.
He's alone, and they're just throwing things at him. I mean, it's just pretty incredible that these protesters have overtaken this, and there's no police. I don't see anybody here to kind of manage this crowd. So like I was saying, this is at the tail end of a very long day. Looks like they're cheering because they were able to push that officer back inside. Okay, and now people, okay.
All right, so again, just to show you, that's what it looked like a little bit on the ground in Los Angeles. Let me move forward.
I'm gonna try and maintain a distance. because we don't want to get caught in the
You have to
crossfire.
be careful.
I mean, I really feel, for the position that these officers are in, because this is not a good position for them at all.
And she's talking about the federal agents, by the way, and this is on CNN. I thought you'd find that a little notable. The federal agents standing right here, Federal Protective Services, those are the guys in charge of protecting federal assets, mainly buildings. Eventually, the police did come in at night, by the way. Do keep that in mind.
They're really backed into a corner here.
They're coming out.
All right, we're going to back it up. I mean, some of these officers are coming out in jeans, in plain clothes. Like, it doesn't appear that there's any organized situation on their part.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Veronica,
us.
I don't want to interrupt you, but we're being told that we should let you go, and I want to let you go so you can move back out of that area.
All right. So, yeah. Here's Karen Bass again. We're seeing a lot more of Karen Bass here lately as well, so I did want to play some of her clips.
Do you think Donald Trump is eroding democracy?
How can I not? I mean, there is nothing that says...
And again, mind you, this is happening when there is that protest occurring. This is that same interview.
He isn't. I think about my poor colleagues in Minneapolis. They have a police force of 600, and they've brought in more than 1,000 officers.
Don't let bad credit stop you from getting a loan. How many times have you been denied a loan? You've had to pay insanely high interest rates because of a bad credit score. There may be some things that do not help your credit score, of course, but this is where Dispute Beast can help. Dispute Beast isn't just another credit repair company. It keeps credit repair simple and helps you dispute negative items affecting your credit score. It has a tool that's helped users on average boost their credit score by 100 points in 3 months. No gurus, no scams, just results. Click the link below if you're serious about changing your credit score today.
Hey, look. Yeah, Elon is not in it, man. You gotta listen to the wordplay, bro. You know? So they made you believe something. Wow.
In theaters now.
Everyone wants to know, so here it is.
20 days in her life.
I will move forward with purpose, and of course, with style.
Witness history in the making.
I feel energized to serve the American people. Here we go again.
Don't put that on tape.
But it's some information
Who basically had nothing to do. They were watching video games.
Mayor.
Alrighty. Now, quick shout out to Anthony Cabasa. If you guys want to go follow him, go say hi to him. I just want to give him all the credit because he's the one who filmed this. So just want to give credit to Anthony if I'm going to be using this clip. Anthony did what I wish a lot of people on the ground would do more. And again, Anthony's really good at what he does. He spotted a member of Congress in the crowd. And if I'm in the crowd and I see a member of Congress, to me that's sort of a big deal. Considering you don't necessarily... When was the last time anyone's ever seen a member of Congress in their whole lifetime? You're just walking in the street and you see a member of Congress. Now imagine you're at a protest and you see a member of Congress. And you saw what those clips looked like. Anthony Cabasa managed to find Representative Maxine Waters. And he asked a really good question as well. So again, all the credit to him on this one.
Dr. Ayers, what do you think about the violence unfolding right now with the ICE agents?
Literally in the background, by the way, this is happening.
Well, let me tell you.
Sure.
You have to know that they have violent ICE, they have violent, police, they have violent border guards, and we have to be careful. We must protest, we must not be intimidated, but we must be careful not to...
Do you condemn the violence right now against ICE agents? They're throwing water bottles and rocks at the ICE agents.
Well, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Okay, so she's saying she hasn't seen that. So again, massive shout out to Mr. Anthony. I think we should be better about giving credit to the guys on the ground, the men and women on the ground who get these clips for us. So if you want to screenshot that, that's Mr. Anthony Cabasa who got that. So I'm curious what you guys think about that. Again, Anthony Cabasa getting Maxine Waters on the ground.
They got no one left.
Now at this point, the police are coming out literally with riot control gear, or like a more tactical posture. Now again, the member of Congress said she didn't see any of this violence. Alrighty. I thought you guys would find that interesting. And again, shout out to Mr. Anthony. Good job getting that clip for us. So, yeah, I think this is a good place to stop. I mean, this is going to be all of the most notable and relevant information as far as what's occurring on the ground, not only in Minnesota, but other areas. I want to do a lot of research, or more research, into what's happening in Springfield. If you guys got here later in the show, it's being reported that Springfield, Ohio is going to be the next area of operation as far as some sort of federal mission or federal surge involving ICE agents. ICE agents was the only federal entity being noted. I'm not hearing about Border Patrol. We'll see. Will Chief Bovino randomly appear in Springfield? I doubt it, but the Trump administration had a lot of success in Maine. And whether or not you like ICE, the numbers do speak for themselves as far as what the Trump administration was trying to accomplish in Maine. So keep that in mind. Alrighty. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I have a lot of research to do today as far as getting you guys more information. And I will be keeping you up to date with like the Don Lemon stuff, government shutdown stuff. So make sure to please subscribe.
It is really important for us to have you all stand in solidarity with us. Our communities haven't been able to actually go to school.
To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice.
Well, what we're witnessing, this is why the larger picture is important here. We're at we're right on the edge.
Oh, she keeps saying something about bananas, right? Personally, man, I have to like bananas and rice, man. Matter of fact, every time I eat rice, man, I put a little banana, put up in there, man. That's like a delicacy.
In terms of the possibility of America sustaining itself as a social experiment, in the best sense, or just becoming an empire full of might and force.
This is a cancer. White evangelical Christianity is a cancer. These are the worst of our country.
Shame on every Republican in the Senate who put this wildly unqualified person into a position of significance in the Department of Homeland Security so she could unleash brutalization on everyday Americans, American citizens, and law-abiding immigrant families. It's disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ICE permanently.
Yes, dismantle ICE, but also the border.
I wonder what he means by put on ICE permanently, though. That sounds like a straight up threat, man. Like, put on ICE permanently. They got a corpse.
Unleash brutalization on everyday Americans, American citizens, and law-abiding immigrant families. It's disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ICE permanently.
Yes, dismantle ICE, but also the Border Patrol, also the agency that looks over citizenships and asylum. All of it needs to be dismantled and rebuilt so people are not terrorized by their own governmental agency.
This isn't just about what's going on here right now. This is about this not going any further. It's not going to any other states. This is about this stopping. And people don't understand, you know.
Terrorized by their own.
Go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ICE permanently.
Yes, dismantle ICE, but also the Border Patrol, also the agency that looks over citizenships and asylum. All of it.
Context clue. I need to know, what does that mean? What does it mean, put on ICE permanently? And he said we're dead serious. He used the words that he used, like dead, serious, permanent. These words store up action. Like, it makes you say, I might want to do something, right? I think Jeffries, man, what's wrong with you, boy? That's a lady, man. You got a wife, man? Because if you had one, man, I don't think you'd be appreciative if somebody would say something like that to her, bro. We're all adults here. We all adults here. You understand, big man? We understand the cry call for your minions to get out there and do something silly to somebody. You, yourself, personally, my dare say, does not have the cojones to do it yourself. That's crazy what you said, homeboy. And I'm going to make sure that everybody hear that you said it, man. Let's hear what your boy Jeffries Hakeem, the fake Chimu Obama, had to say.
Needs to be dismantled.
Of significance to the Department of Homeland Security so she could unleash brutalization on everyday Americans.
Hold on. First of all, unleash on Americans. I don't feel like nobody has unleashed anything on me. Personally. Brutalization. I'm gonna keep it 100. I don't feel like nobody's stalking me, pulling me over improperly. If I walk down the street, I feel like I'm a thug. Like, I might throw a hat on. Okay. Back in the days, I might have had a problem with them jumping out on me. I probably would have had a problem with that. But even though I did not just change my dress code, I don't seem to see a problem with that at this particular point in time, man. Knowing the current situation that we find ourselves in, man. The border was open for 4 years straight, man. People flooded in here. We don't know who, where they at. So if you put yourself in the middle of a situation where somebody gonna come and be able to jump out and frisk you until you show you their ID, I would feel like you put yourself in that position, my dude, because I've been coming and going as I please, man. Ain't nobody jump out on me yet. There's just certain areas you go in. You know those things are going on. But you, would you be a nosy? Just want to go over there and see what's going on? And get pulled over and then fake the funk like you was so innocently just coming out of Dunkin' Donuts and got shot in the face. Stop it, man. This rhetoric right here, man.
Into a position of significance in the Department of Homeland Security so she could unleash brutalization on everyday Americans, American citizens, and law-abiding immigrant families. It's disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ice permanently.
Yes, dismantle.
Oh, I swear that's crazy to him say. Like a straight threat right there. Hold on. I hear that. Did you hear me?
Unleash brutalization on everyday Americans, American citizens, and law-abiding immigrant families. It's disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ice permanently.
Yes, dismantle ICE, but also...
That's a threat. Trump. That's a threat, baby. Somebody needs to knock on your boy's door. 1, 2. 1, 2.
The Border Patrol, also the agency that looks over citizenships and asylum, all of it needs to be dismantled and rebuilt so people are not terrorized by their own governmental agency.
This isn't just about what's going on here right now. This is about this not going any further. It's not going to any other states. This is about this stopping. And people don't understand. This needs to stop.
Secure borders and aggressive enforcement aren't just policy. They are crucial survival in an unpredictable republic led by a fraud-riddled uniparty. John Bound reporting for InfoWars. yours. Tomorrow's news today.
America is not entering a new civil war. That's what the left has been calling it. It is multinational BlackRock, WEF manipulation through NGOs working with the CIA and other organizations to run a color revolution here in the United States. That's what globalism has been the whole time, is get rid of all nation-state sovereignty and transfer to international groups and control corporations. They openly admit that now with the WEF, and they've been failing. So they're using classic communist tactics here in the United States to mobilize these mercenary armies funded by corporations and NGOs to foment civil unrest that they will call a race-based civil war. That's what all their movies like Civil War and One Battle After the Next, One Battle After Another are all about. But it's a key distinction that we are fighting against globalists. It is Americans trying to preserve our very sovereignty, our very existence, and to reboot our economy, international security, and our rights and freedoms. The left openly say death to America, openly say they hate this country. That is their main operating system. That's not just a few, that's the majority of them. Just go to one of their meetings. Listen to them. This country shouldn't even exist, they say, with all their liberation theology. And so now they love the Second Amendment. Now they love America. Oh, they're protecting from the fascist Donald Trump. Well, they run around all their high-tech systems, jacked into police departments they control, license plate scanning conservatives and ICE and border agents and targeting them and their families, and hundreds of new videos a day saying kill white people and whiteness is inherently bad and churches are bad because they're white supremacy. Don Lemon, they're making their move, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the facts. And we have to be aware of it and understand we're in a war for our very survival.
We absolutely are. They are making their plans. They are getting organized. We have to, stop them. We have to get in and stop them. It's the only thing to do. It's the only way they stop is if they are stopped. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alex Jones Show. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, sitting in for Alex today. I, of course, normally host the War Room in the afternoon. Stuart Rhodes is going to be taking over for me on the War Room. We have a giant show for you here on the Alex Jones Show, including, of course, the fact that Don Lemon was arrested. Don Lemon has been placed into custody. He may be making a court appearance as early as today. Minnesota church disruptor Don Lemon arrested by feds while covering Grammy Awards in Los Angeles. What an interesting career path this man has had. Imagine going from the voice of the nation during the first Trump administration, not because you actually deserved it or were worthy of anything even close to that label. You just were placed on CNN and given the position of, authority, king journalist there to condemn the Trump administration no matter what, every single day. And you're on top of the world. You're making millions of dollars. Everything you say becomes a big political firestorm. And then he gets fired. And then he gets fired and becomes a live streamer and can't manage triple digits on his live stream. Nobody cares about him. It must have been a rude awakening. It must always be a rude awakening with these leftist people who think that they deserve the position that they're in, who think that they are this big important person because of their talent and skill and charisma. And then they
not spend a single. It is really important for us to have you all stand in solidarity with us. Our communities haven't been able to actually go to school.
To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice.
Well, what we're witnessing, this is why the larger picture is important here. We're at we're right on the edge cliff in terms of the possibility.
18, if I have that correctly, Liz, but it's Liz Collin. And I know that she's also spoken to a lot of people who've been hard to reach. We've asked for a lot of people out of Minnesota. You've managed to accomplish getting in contact with these prosecutors. Let's talk about exactly what's going on. Fry, Omar, Ellison, how deep does this go into politics?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there is an overlap with plenty of Democrats in power in Minnesota with all of this. It was the spring of 2021 when the raids involved with the $250 million fraud scheme tied to Feeding Our Future was first exposed. Even before that, though, you're right,
There was a suspected $100 million fraud tied to overbilling at dozens of Somali-owned daycare sites in Minnesota. That was making news back then. So the question of who knew what and when, you laid that out. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, she held several events at the restaurant named in the Feeding Our Future fraud, including hosting her congressional win in 2018 at that very restaurant. So she knew one of the owners very well. Salim Saeed is his name, who has since been convicted. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry's senior policy aide, Abdi Nur Salah, also entered a guilty plea. He was tied to the case. Campaign donations from some of the defendants in Feeding Our Future eventually returned, as you mentioned, to Jacob Fry, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. But you're right, I sat down with the lead prosecutor in the case, Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson, talked to him months ago, and I asked him, will we see any of these political leaders indicted? At the time, he said he could not comment on future indictments, but even back then, the feds made it very clear that it seemed that these cases were still wide open. Now we're hearing about multiple social programs in Minnesota, and these investigations seem to be wide open at this case, and I think this federal spotlight certainly is helping at this moment, Will. Okay,
let's explore really quickly together, Liz, the questions of could and did. What I mean by that is we have audio of Keith Ellison. And as you know, Keith Ellison having a conversation with many of the people involved in this program wherein he seems to be suggesting that he'll get into any type of investigators off their back. Like if there's any holdup in some of the money going to their programs that were fraudulent, he'll grease the wheels, he'll figure out how to keep it going. They were complaining that people were starting to step in and stop the flow of funds. And Ellison seemed to be saying, well, where? How? I'll figure it out. So the question is could and did. Could this have been to this scale without all of these politicians knowing about it? And did they know about it?
It seems at this point, Will, hard to believe that someone did not know about this. You have a state senator, Omar Fateh, celebrating the fact that the money kept flowing. You have a city council member in Minneapolis, also part of that celebration that was actually held. It's on video. There are recordings of that as well. And our reporting dates back years at this point, going over that celebration that took place. Unless none of these people, which I find it very hard to believe, are not talking to each other at all. And now you also have these whistleblowers that have come forward recently saying that they went to Governor Tim Walz 7 years ago when he first came into office, and they wanted to bring these red flags to his attention, and they say that they were met with silence. So we're seeing that now on Medicaid funding perhaps being cut if Walz doesn't take this more seriously, according to that letter that was sent from the federal government on Friday. But we have multi-billions of dollars in fraud in Minnesota. And again, this has been ongoing for years. So just on a personal level, I've been a reporter for 20 plus years now. At this point, I find it really hard to believe that someone at the top did not know something.
Well, I have no doubt, Liz, that you'll be the first to know if that prosecutor, Thompson, comes back and says you will see a Ellison or a Fry or an Omar in cuffs. You'll be the first to know. So we hope you'll come back here and let us know about that, Liz Collins.
You to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20 handpicked products that are trending all over the world, basically validated by AI from a trending product database from one of the top vendors on the planet. And the reason that we can do this completely free for you is because, well, Shopify is paying me to do it. You've probably seen me before because for the last year, Shopify has loved the AI-paired software that we built so much that they've been paying me to build people just like you, complete beginners, a completely free store. Now, again, it's free for you, right? Shopify is paying me a commission to do it. And if you don't keep your store for more than 90 days, I don't even get paid. But your store is still free, right? And after 90 days, it's still your store. I don't own a percentage of the store. I don't control the store. It's yours. You can delete products from it, add new products to it, all that good stuff. It's your store, okay? Not only that, I'm going to give you my courses completely free. I'm not going to try to upsell you a bunch of courses. I know you've seen gurus trying to sell courses for $1,000, $2,000, so on and so forth. I can afford to give you my courses for free because, again, Shopify pays me when you use this software and open up a Shopify store. So you get a free store, right? I get a commission from Shopify, and Shopify gets a new merchant to their platform that's being trained by me. It's a win-win-win situation. All you have to do is click here right now. I dare you to do it. I dare you to see if it's free. You're going to go to the next page. You're going to create a free account. You're going to get a free account to our AI software that's going to build you a store in the next 20 minutes, is ready to start taking orders. The sales pages are going to be done. The product descriptions are going to be done.
It takes you there, they run you through the gauntlet, and then they hit you with the bill at the end.
Absolutely. Thanks, Will.
Let's get to Republican John Barrasso of the great state of Wyoming, Senate Majority Whip and member of the Foreign Relations and Finance Committees. Great to have you on the program today. I want to talk about what's at stake with what's happening in Minnesota. You've got a former vice presidential candidate who's being looked at this, the governor of that state, Tim Walz, and you've got Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and others being looked at. What's at stake here?
Well, the fraud and corruption in Minnesota, and especially among those elected officials, is staggering. And as you said on Friday, Harris, that's just the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing right now. What we're seeing is something that's criminal, it is massive, and it is sleazy. And it looks to me that the officials in Minnesota were well aware of it. They looked the other way because they needed the votes of a certain community there. It does look like it involved the governor, who's a Democrat, who was the nominee for vice president of the United States. And it also looks like money has been funneled not just to criminals, but also overseas and possibly also to terrorist organizations. And what's making this so sleazy is so much of this money, they did it under the guise of trying to help children and children with autism. They didn't care at all about that. They just wanted more names to put under more fraudulent documents. And then the people in Minnesota, it looks like, rubber stamped it. The money started to flow, and they never looked back. This was set up to defraud the American taxpayers. And I'll tell you, we need to go after all of these folks who need to be held accountable for what I believe is criminal behavior.
You know, Senators, you were talking about what was happening. Our detail today that we're drilling down on, one of two of them, is the food programs. I mean, you've got a congresswoman on Capitol Hill right now, Ilhan Omar, whose people in her very own staff, one of whom has already committed and is convicted because they confessed to doing this, that they took $2 million in food that was supposed to help people during COVID and used it for personal benefit. I mean, this is a big deal, reaching all the way to Capitol Hill. What are the ramifications there?
Well, there needs to be legal proceedings. You got to go after these people who I think intentionally refused to follow the law, and the officials in Minnesota really didn't go ahead and try to enforce the law. And we've seen this also in Medicaid there in Minnesota with fraud there. We've seen it with the food programs. We've seen it with welfare. Apparently, they were trying to sign up so many people they ran out of names. So went to a website, www.randomnames.com, to make up names. And the money was so big, we understand that some of it went to buy BMWs, Mercedes-Benz. Some of it even went to buy real estate overseas. But it does look to me, Harris, and I think you had Kim Strassel on last week, so many of these government programs are just set up to be taken advantage of, and the Democrats seem to want to do that. They don't look for accountability. We're seeing it right now with Obamacare and what the Democrats are trying to do with these additional Biden bonus COVID subsidies. And as the Wall Street Journal pointed out today, you know, Obamacare is a mecca for fraud.
Hi, my name is Tami, and I would like to give you a few reasons why you should consider dating a young Asian lady. You can choose a potential spouse from Vietnam, the Philippines, Thailand, or Indonesia. The geography is boundless. Have you noticed that Asian women have become more and more popular? I mean that they are everywhere, in famous magazines, on Instagram as top bloggers, on the runways, and on billboards. More importantly, they are in men's heart. True, they are this popular because most of them have everything that an object of fascination is supposed to have: natural beauty, stunning bodies, and charisma like temper. Yes, these ladies are beautiful, and even you can't deny that a lot of men are physically attracted to them. Anyway, Asian women truly respect and appreciate American men. These ladies are passionate, they have been raised to respect traditional and family values. American guys are usually less passionate and emotional than Asian men. It might seem that this could stop local girls from looking for a foreign husband, but opposite attract. They like men from American countries because they are more ambitious, financially and socially responsible, and after all, they are just more rational. Lots of girls are dreaming of a good husband from America. So, what's the problem? Choose a dating site, a few weeks of conversation, personal meeting, and voila, a new happy couple is here. And of course, Asians speak English fluently. It's important, right? Yes. There are lots of translation tools to make a convo between foreign people clear. But it's always easier and more pleasant to have a nice conversation with a girl without a translator help. Have you ever noticed how the members of Oriental families treat each other? This is what men get when they marry an Asian. Family and motherhood are sacred to most girls from Asian countries. Women bring harmony to men's lives and special tradition where their husband can feel at home and enjoy the safe harbor. Asian women do not pay much attention to the age difference. They do believe that a good personality stands first. More of it, they likely prefer men over 40 because they are more wise and stable. Sounds perfect, right? So why wait? There and take what is yours. Click the link below and take a 2-minute compatibility test with a young Asian lady.
Right now, as you watch this, your brain is being hijacked. You think you're in control. But there's a backdoor to your mind that 99% of people don't know exists. In 1914, a discovery was made that should have stayed buried. The hidden switches that control human behavior were exposed. For over a century, a select few have used this knowledge to manipulate millions. They've made women smoke, nations fight, and complete strangers stampede to buy things that they never even wanted. The man who started it all wrote, "We are governed, our minds molded, our ideas suggested by men we have never heard of." He called it the engineering of consent. And it's being used on you right now, every day. That ad that read your mind, that video that made you buy, that post that made you furious, it's the same playbook, same psychological trigger, same invisible string. In the next few minutes, you're gonna discover the exact system that's been hidden for over 100 years. The same dark psychology that built empires, toppled governments, and created billionaires. The question is, do you want to remain the puppet or learn to become the puppet master? So here it is, the paradox that changed everything. The same psychological discoveries meant to heal individuals were later weaponized to sway nations, sell cigarettes, and to make those who knew these dark arts of propaganda rich. Sigmund Freud identified the unconscious mind as the actual force that drives human behavior. He developed these concepts to heal patients, while his nephew, Edward Bernays, took those very same ideas and then used them to manipulate the masses. Before Bernays, people only bought what they needed. After Bernays, they bought what they desired. He discovered that by appealing to emotions rather than logic, you could persuade a nation to fight in a war it didn't agree with, convince women that smoking was an act of independence, and use Freud's discoveries as a tool for mass manipulation. Freud was horrified by how his work was being used, yet Bernays pressed on, believing that managing the irrational herd was the key to control. This moral ambiguity is the heartbeat of our story. In this video you're about to watch, we're gonna unravel the dark lineage and show you these same tactics, when used ethically, can become the most powerful weapon in your online business. In this video, you'll discover how you can harness the stolen science to turn strangers into raving customers.
Well, look, I'm looking at my notes here because I know we have a bit of a quote to speak to what you're saying. I mean, the Medicare, Medicaid is so important, as well as the Senate is set to take a test vote Thursday on this part of it. The Wall Street Journal editorial board writes that those subsidies are, quote, a mecca for fraud and ripe for gaming. Here's part of it. The GAO last fall began an undercover test into which it submitted insurance applications for fictitious individuals to the federal Obamacare exchange and insurance brokers. Nearly all of its invented people were able to enroll in subsidized plans despite submitting false or no records to verify their identities and incomes. Senator, as we learn more about this, the American people, you used one word, but they've been ripped off and they cannot be reimbursed.
And Obamacare continues to fail the American people. I'm a doctor, practiced medicine for 24 years. I want people to get the care they need from a doctor they choose at lower costs. Obamacare has made that essentially impossible. And so the Democrats realize the failures of Obamacare, so they propped it up with big subsidy checks directly to insurance companies. Doesn't go through people, doesn't go through consumers. It goes right from the federal government to the insurance companies. And, you know, Obama promised that premiums would drop by $2,500 a family. Instead, they have doubled, and the insurance company loves getting those checks. Their stocks are up 500 to 1,000%. So Obamacare was never affordable. And what the Democrats are trying to do now is saying, oh, my gosh, we need to keep these COVID subsidies going, these added bonus subsidies, and they want to send another $100 billion directly from the federal treasury to the insurance companies. And Republicans are saying, look, American consumers ought to have a say in that. If we're going to send money, it ought to go to families who they can make the decision of what works best for them. Give them the opportunity to make the insurance companies compete by lowering the prices, by offering other opportunities for insurance that works for that specific family, not the straitjacket that is the one-size-fits-all of Obamacare.
And look, the shutdown that Democrats perpetrated on this entire nation and put people even in a bigger financial hole to be able to afford Obamacare when it does go up, unless they can agree with Republicans to do something to actually reform the system. I mean, that is even more unforgivable on the parts of Democrats, what they've done with that shutdown and still didn't fix the problem. Great to have you on the program, and thank you for all of your years as a doctor. It really played a role today, as I'm sure it did for many of your patients for years. Good to see you, Senator.
Harris. Great to be with you. You got it.
So Minnesota Congresswoman and squad member Ilhan Omar says she knows who to blame as the Trump administration probes if millions of taxpayer dollars from her state were sent to terrorists in her native Somalia.
If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out and basically charging them.
Still renting while your landlord gets rich? Tired of cramped spaces, noisy neighbors, and endless rules you didn't create? What's stopping you from owning your first home, starting your business, or finally driving that dream car? Your credit, and it's time to change that forever. Imagine walking into a dream home you own with the perfect room for each of your kids and a backyard where they can play freely. Picture your name on the door of your business with the funding you need to make your dreams a reality. But here's the truth. The credit system doesn't want you to win. It's rigged to keep you from making your goals a reality. Credit bureaus profit from your failures. Credit repair companies profit from your confusion. Dispute Beast fights for you, cutting out the middleman, saving you time and money. Many are trying to imitate Dispute Beast, but they can't compete. No reviews, no support, no results. Don't fall for knockoffs. Dispute Beast isn't just another credit repair tool. It's the highest rated AI credit repair system, trusted by thousands to deliver real results with real support. Your biggest fear isn't making things worse. It's staying exactly where you are. Still renting, staring at peeling walls, waiting months for repairs, or asking for permission to decorate your space? Worried your family won't have the room that they need, or that your dream of starting a business will stay just that, a dream? Your fear is being left behind while others build wealth, secure funding, and create the lives that they've always wanted. But with Dispute Beast, you don't need an expert. We've built the smartest AI to fight for you, and get you the results you deserve. It's so easy to use, you can start improving your credit in less than 5 minutes. Imagine spending just a few minutes a month to transform your financial future. It's not your fault the system failed you, but now you have the power to change it. The truth? Other systems only target Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, but that's not enough to get the results you deserve. DisputeBeast doesn't stop there. We target Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and your creditors, and the secondary bureaus, because that's how you get real results fast. Our data shows that users who send just 4 attacks and follow the advice in our FAQ improve their scores by an average of 146 points. And if you send 6 attacks, that average jumps to 206 points. It's so easy to use that from any device in less than 5 minutes, you can start your journey to better credit. Whether you're a busy mom, a busy dad, or an entrepreneur, if you can use social media, you can use DisputeBeast. This is your chance to take control of your credit, your future, and your life. Fire your landlord, buy your dream home, secure your funding. Click below to start now. One click changes everything.
You know, with AI,
you can create any character you want in seconds.
This used to require huge Hollywood budgets,
complex software, and tons of time.
But right now, all you need is a laptop
and knowledge of the best AI tools out there.
It'll cost you practically nothing, and it doesn't require any subscriptions.
In just 2 days, we'll show you how to unlock the most advanced AI filmmaking and content creation tools without having to pay a cent in overpriced subscriptions. With these tools, you'll learn how to create scroll-stopping videos that rack up millions of views, craft wildly profitable online ads that blow up your brand, and turn any creative idea into a powerful short film that looks like it belongs on the big screen. But it's not just AI filmmaking that you're going to learn. With AI, you can create any image or graphic that you can imagine. You can create full-blown viral YouTube thumbnails in seconds. Your website, emails, infographics, your entire business can be built with AI. People are using AI to fill up their content calendar in seconds. AI can come up with countless viral ideas. It can script and storyboard your content, all while keeping your unique creative voice. All you need is the right tools and how to use them. It's the new year and ContentCreator.com is having its biggest sale of the year. And you can get our AI Creator course, viral video editing course, and our pack of insane video editing templates for an incredible discount. Let's start with the AI Creator course.
Fox News contributor Mary Catherine Ham joins us now. It is, interesting that she doesn't mention all the associates connected to her campaign worker, and places where she hosted her campaign parties at as well, MK.
Yeah, there also wasn't a denial. That felt like sort of a tell to me. I think she knows much more about all of this than she's let on the whole time. As you allude to, she has plenty of associates, close friends, allies who were enriching themselves off of $250 million defrauded from one program alone, maybe $1 billion in the state. And this is money that would have gone to children being fed, the homeless being housed, and did not. That's what the compassion adds up to. But the fact is that a lot of people were making a ton of money off of this, and she just wants to lay it off on someone else. But ma'am, you're in charge. You're in charge of the district. You're in charge of making federal law and should be interested in checking where federal money is going, especially when it's supposed to go to the compassionate services that you're supposed to be all about. But that's not the situation here, and I think it's true for Tim Walz as well as Keith Ellison, who's on audio, on tape, saying to the folks who defrauded Feeding Our Future, saying, I'll help you out with this. Let's get you out of this investigation. Like, these people were in on it.
And that is the major part of this. Tim Walz, they went after the whistleblowers, and I think that's part of the investigation I'm waiting to unfold. Meanwhile, also happening today, Jasmine Crockett is expected to make an announcement as she weighs a last-minute Texas Senate run after the Supreme Court allowed Texas to use the new congressional district map. That means she's going to be drawn out of her district. They used to allow that to happen with Eddie Bernice Johnson, but they decided to redraw it, so she won't have a seat anymore. Colin Allred is getting out of the race now. What do you make of these developments?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, I think Crockett would be a dream for Texas Republicans who can paint her as far, far, far too left for Texas. She was running in a D plus 30 points district, like so a very, very, very Democratic district. And she's really good at the showmanship part. All of politics is a reality show now, so she's going to show up at like 11 a.m. this morning and be like, will I or won't I? She will. And the problem for Democrats is this was already a crowded primary with a couple of like pretty good moderate signaling people, and she's going to jump in here and be not at all moderate signaling and probably cause a problem for Democrats. But she'll raise a lot of money and make a lot of noise.
Yeah, and I think she may actually win it because in all the polling, at least for the Democrats, I mean, in Texas, she's going to get blown out by a Republican. But as far as the primary, she's blowing out all the competition. So it's going to be interesting for the Democratic primary, but the general, not so much. MK, thanks so much for getting up this morning.
You got it, pal.
Dana. Let's bring in Kayleigh McEnany. She's host of Saturday in America, co-host of Outnumbered. You can find her everywhere, and we love it. Keith Ellison, who's the Attorney General, this guy, they need to look into him. This is what he said on a weekend show.
Let me just say this. We all want to protect the public dollar. We want to prosecute people who engage in fraud. We are up for that. But we can't do it on a partisan basis. We got to do it together. We can't use incidents like this to score a political point.
But as I pointed out last week on this show and on the 5, so he is the Attorney General there, used to run the DNC. He solicited political contributions from these groups that were stealing the money. And then when they were asking about these investigations into them, he said, don't worry, I'll tell them to knock it off.
Right. And he could have used a little more fervor in telling them to knock it off if he ever even did so, because it didn't stop. The real scandal of all this, Dana, is when you go down that New York Times story that brought a lot of light to this issue, you find that in 2022, most of these prosecutions were underway or starting up. That was Merrick Garland. That was Joe Biden. Merrick Garland called this the country's largest pandemic relief fraud scheme. So where was the sprawling Biden-era investigation? His DOJ was working on it, but I asked Kelly Loeffler at SBA on Saturday, did your predecessor at SBA look into this? She said no. In fact, there were flags on loans for potential fraud in Biden's SBA, and they just let them out the door. So where was the Biden investigation? Where was the Keith Ellison investigation? This was known back in 2022.
Ilhan Omar has taken a lot of questions on this. Scott Bessent went after her on CBS on Sunday. Watch here.
I can tell you that, it's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, oh, it was very, it was very tough to know how this money should be used. Yeah. She was gaslighting the American people. When you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
And I interpret that for you. I'll translate it. He's saying no excuses here.
No excuses, and especially when it was actually some of the defendants' lawyers who said it was like they were filling the cookie jar up, and like they knew people were stealing out of the cookie jar, and they just kept refilling it and refilling it and refilling it. And I think Scott Bessent makes an important point there. We love immigrants who come to this country, but we need an assimilation process. We need a fervor. You could have your own culture, that's fine. But a fervor for the American dream, a love for this country, an appreciation for taxpayer dollars, an appreciation for the values that bind us together despite our different cultures, backgrounds, languages, et cetera. I think that's an important point you've heard Bessent make, Stephen Miller as well.
Speaking of Stephen Miller, so he has commented on this. We showed the clip at the beginning in the Hannity show. She responded yesterday saying that it's like talking to a Nazi.
We promise a 10-fold refund if it doesn't work. Traditional dentures can lead to jawbone loss and change your facial contour over time, but this denture completely avoids such issues. It can be worn successfully in just 1 second and is suitable for everyone. Whether you have a full set of teeth, partial tooth loss, or no teeth at all, there's no need for adhesives, dentists, or appointments. You simply soak it in hot water to activate the elastic material, bite down to fit it to your unique oral shape, and you'll have brand new dentures in just a few minutes. My friends all say they look so realistic, just like dental implants. It addresses the root cause of missing or loose teeth, solving various issues like sensitivity and difficulty chewing. The soft silicone is suitable for any oral condition, very durable, and feels like a natural part of your mouth. It has obtained international standard certification. No more spending big money at dental clinics to make dentures. We promise a full refund if it doesn't perform like real teeth. They won't rub or slip, providing a secure and natural wearing experience, allowing you to eat whatever you want. I can speak clearly and smile without worries. I've been wearing them daily for several months, and they still feel like new. They look better than the dentures my dentist made for me, and I installed them myself at home. Say goodbye to orthodontic treatments and dental implants. This invisible aligner solves all your problems. You can eat freely without restrictions. Confidently showcase your charming soft silicone dentures. They fit perfectly to any tooth shape with no pain or discomfort, allowing you to express emotions naturally. Long-term wear can gradually improve the structure of the dental arch, correct and coordinate the alignment of your teeth. It also helps reduce snoring and relieve tension. Made of antibacterial silicone, it can last for decades with normal use, and even if you occasionally skip cleaning for a month, it won't yellow, discolor, or develop unpleasant odors. Upon receiving the product, if you're not satisfied, you can request a refund at any time. Missing yellow teeth making you afraid to smile, difficulty chewing food or unclear speech. In just 1 second, it perfectly fits your teeth, easily resolving all dental issues.
When I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. There have been many immigrants who've tried to come to the United States who've turned back, one of them being Jewish immigrants. We're yes, of course, ethnically Somali. We are in this country as Americans. Yeah. We are citizens. We are productive part of this nation, and we will continue to be.
I think you know Stephen Miller well.
Yeah, I mean, he accuses Stephen of being a Nazi. Stephen's Jewish, first of all. Stephen's a great person. Stephen's someone who loves this country and is working hard for it. And Stephen and his family have been totally and completely under fire and accosted with all kinds of threats for doing what they're doing. It was the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination that Katie Miller was stormed by someone outside of her home who said, "I'm watching you." There were wanted signs up by their home in Virginia accusing him of crimes against humanity. They have been under threat. And as Stephen Miller said, it's an organized campaign of dehumanization, vilification. And that's what this is. It's organized. They're being called Nazis. It's just not Ilhan Omar. It is others, too. And it is shameful rhetoric that should be toned down.
Thank you, Kaylee. Nice to see you on Monday, as always.
Good to see you.
Did that take you right there? I mean, that explained it all away right there, right, Jess?
Yeah, so the Somalis are the real victims.
Yes.
So her father was a colonel in this Islamist, communist Somali regime that the UN accused of committing war crimes and disgusting human atrocities. She leaves Somalia, she comes here, marries her brother, commits immigration fraud, gets elected to Congress, and suddenly is worth $30 million. So everybody in her little Somali community, all of a sudden, not all of them, but a bunch,
most of them,
steal $1 billion from American taxpayers. And then they buy nice cars and they fund her campaign. And then they get caught. And she says, no one's more upset about the fraud than us Somalis.
Right.
And that we're the real victims. Meanwhile, a lot of these people are on food stamps. They don't have a high school education. They can barely speak English. And all Stephen Miller says is you got to assimilate and you can't be a public charge. And she calls him a Nazi. And he's Jewish. She can't even get that right.
But they don't have to, Dana. It's the name calling. If you say Nazi, the media focuses on Nazi, not the $1 billion of taxpayer money gone. It's he is
one of the reasons she didn't have to is because she was given an escape hatch in the interview.
A parachute,
by
if you will.
bringing, a parachute by saying, I'm going to ask you about fraud in Minnesota, in which you took $1 billion from taxpayers. How do you respond? And also let me add Stephen Miller into this so that you can get out of it. And to me, she doesn't seem upset at all that Americans were ripped off. They were double tapping COVID funds.
Yeah.
And then the thing is that, like Jason Riley of the Wall Street Journal wrote about this last week. He said, you're not doing the Somali community any favors by just trying to sweep this under the rug. If you want to assimilate, take responsibility for it and figure out how to stop it from happening again. I just want to reiterate, the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, needs to be looked into even more because he was soliciting campaign contributions from these very people who were stealing the money. And then on tape, he's asked, but what happens if they continue to come after us and investigate us? And he said, if I see it, I'll tell them to knock it off.
Harold, you will probably relate this to this, what I'm about to. When we see, in our example, when we see a high-profile brother do something terrible, we are usually the most upset at the individual because you make us all look bad when you do things like this. Here's a situation where she's in leadership. She's probably the most popular, recognizable person representing her cultural group, and there's $1 billion scandal. Shouldn't she be the one leading the charge? Yes. Because you're making us all look bad. She listed off all those groups, Irish, this. Guess what? They would police their own. They did police their own. That's why they were assimilated to this country and no longer are called little groups.
We're talking a little bit in break. I think that that making assumptions about, I'd take it a step further. I think your question's right. I agree with you. I share that view, and whenever that is the case, I often feel that way. But at the same time, I also think it's unfair for people to assume that because you are of that group, that you somehow or another are more prone to do things that that person may have done. If this is an instance of that, that's one thing. I didn't like her answer. I didn't think it was necessary to invoke Stephen Miller in the answer. I think the answer stands on its own. If there's nothing there, her point was if this is indeed something, then our law enforcement in America should find this out and get to the bottom of it. And there's insinuation that it's hard to imagine how she couldn't have known about these things. If that's the case, then let the investigation fall where the investigation may fall. But I just wish she hadn't invoked her feelings about Stephen Miller. Indeed, obviously she's shared them, but I don't see the connection between the issue here and Stephen Miller's comments about immigration. He has some strong positions that I disagree with, but it doesn't really have any relationship to the story.
Well, even let's just say, for argument's sake, let's say that he is a card-carrying Nazi. What does that have to do with the evidence that's coming forward? So the Nazis are telling on you? I would expect the Nazi to tell on me if I was doing illegal stuff. That would be the one group that I'd be like, who told on me? The Nazis makes figures, figures.
Stephen Miller is Jewish, but yet he's a card-carrying Nazi. Yeah. That's what she wants us to believe. Look, this is a shocking proposition to the left, but you are allowed to make an argument against Trump or anyone in his administration without leveling a Nazi, white supremacist Hitler comparison. It's sad that we're at a point where this is common discourse. Every day we cover a Nazi comparison. And during my time at Oxford, I studied debate. I thought about it in detail, like how to make a good argument, how to craft it with footnotes, with facts, with figures. The lowest form of intelligence debate is an ad hominem attack. It's lazy. It has no facts. It's just leveling a criticism. And that's what you saw from Ilhan Omar with the Hitler comparison. It is so dangerous. It is so wrong. And I shared this with Dana this morning, just to share it again. Katie Miller, the day after the Charlie Kirk assassination, Stephen's wife, went outside her home, was accosted by a woman who said, "I'm watching you." There were signs in their neighborhood in Arlington, Virginia, or thereabouts, that said wanted posters, and on them they said crimes against humanity. This, in my opinion, is an organized attack. It is designed to put a target on the back of Trump administration officials. It is so wrong, it's so lazy, it's so unintelligent, and it needs to stop.
But it has been very effective for them over the last 4 years. They've been, all you got to do is call a white guy racist, and then the news media stops on the actual issue, and they go into a deep dive as that person. And that would have been pretty easy to clear up, I think. But who knows with the, what'd you call it, ad hominems?
Ad hominem attack. It's lazy, it's unintelligent.
These ridiculous ad hominem attacks. We won't stand for it.
I love it.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
I went viral after going on Shark Tank and saying this: 1 spoon of this makes any guy's underwear beg for space. Your equipment down there gets up but doesn't stay up long enough to satisfy your woman. I went on Shark Tank and showed how any man can fix that fast. That episode became one of the most watched videos in the US. All 4 entrepreneurs invested in my idea. And when 4 people at that level agree without hesitation, you know it wasn't just hype. I've heard from tons of men saying what I showed there worked way better than anything else they tried. Testosterone, pills, even pumps. It's natural and so discreet that some husbands are doing it without their wives even knowing. I proved right in front of those millionaires that it works. Studies, comparisons, and real results results made them open their wallets and hand me over $1 million live. Best part, it's cheaper than conventional products and actually works. I won't drag this out because I know you're curious by now. Just watch my Shark Tank appearance and try what I taught with your wife today. This solution has already helped men in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s go multiple rounds without stopping, and finally satisfy their wives in a way they didn't even remember was possible. Tap Learn More to watch because I showed live exactly how to do this today. Go ahead, click below now and find out by watching the video right now.
If you're over 40 and still using ChatGPT like Google, watch this. It's 2026. People are getting hired because they have AI certificates and AI skills. And they're getting them for free by finishing the 28-day AI challenge. Meanwhile, you're still using ChatGPT like it's Google. Tomorrow, we kick off this challenge for beginners over 30. Just 15 minutes a day to level up. In 1 week, you'll feel unstoppable. In 2 weeks, you'll have certificates on your resume. In a month, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Tap the screen to join us.
Now a local tax expert will do your taxes for $150 all in. They know your situation, from self-employment to W-2s. Pay only $150 to get your taxes done by a local expert.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon is among the latest group of people arrested for disrupting a St. Paul, Minnesota church service earlier this month. This occurs as demonstrators take to the streets in Minneapolis again and elsewhere on a national day of protest over the Trump administration immigration crackdown. Correspondent Brooke Taylor is again in Minneapolis tonight.
The Justice Department sending a strong message. Federal agents arrested former CNN anchor Don Lemon. It comes after he live-streamed this.
They cannot pretend to be a house of God.
Anti-ICE protesters storming a church in St. Paul, disrupting services last week. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi called it a coordinated attack and says 3 others were also arrested. DHS says Lemon is charged with conspiracy and interfering with the civil rights of worshipers. In a statement, Lemon's attorney calls the arrest a, quote, unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and says Lemon will fight these charges vigorously. And new developments in the shooting death of Alex Preddy. The Justice Department is opening a federal civil rights investigation.
We're looking at videos, talking to witnesses, trying to understand what happened.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem announcing the FBI is now leading the federal investigation, a big shift from Homeland Security investigations.
We will continue to follow the investigation that the FBI is leading and giving them all the information that they need to bring that to a conclusion.
ICE out of Minnesota! Thousands of anti-ICE protesters marched the streets across Minneapolis today despite freezing temperatures.
What do we want?
The national shutdown protest called for no school, no work, and no shopping.
We want to see actions. We want to see ICE out of this state.
But for now, President Trump says Operation Metro Surge is here to stay.
So you're not pulling back?
No, not at all.
The man he put in charge, Border Czar Tom Homan, says he's focused on operations targeting criminal illegal migrants like this one. An ICE elite team serving a warrant at a home in Minnesota for an alleged sex offender and convicted smuggler.
We want to keep our country safe. We'll do whatever we can to keep our country safe.
Meanwhile, Lemon just made his first court appearance in downtown LA at federal court. He was released without bail. A judge told him he can't contact any of the victims and he'll have to appear at a federal court here in Minneapolis on February 9th, Brett.
All right, Brooke Taylor, live in Minneapolis. Brooke, thank you.
The question is, Professor, are these charges something, I believe the FACE Act violation, again, indicted by a grand jury, are they something that carry real jeopardy here for Don Lemon?
Well, first of all, the FACE Act itself does pose jeopardy for all those arrested. The Attorney General of Minnesota, Ellison, said that this only applies to abortion clinics. That was completely false. It does apply to places of worship like this. And in fact, when they have applied it to abortion clinics, including Ellison, they have adopted the broadest possible interpretation of those criminal provisions. Now, with regard to Don Lemon, I think that he has a claim here that he was acting as a journalist. And I think a lot of judges are going to find that persuasive because they tend to avoid really hitting that tripwire when it comes to journalism. Now, the problem, of course, is that Don Lemon really it stretches that meaning of a journalist. He's one of these journalists that believe in advocacy journalism, which blurs, again, the line of what is a journalist and what is an advocate. So that's going to end up having to be litigated. Some of us have written for years, I just wrote a book on this not long ago, really contesting advocacy journalism as killing journalism in the United States. He is really the face of that movement.
Yeah, and you bring up sort of the career path of Don Lemon, but there's also the actions that day, and whether or not those were the actions of someone simply chronicling the event or someone serving as a hype man for the event, and whether or not carrying a camera or a phone, for that matter, into a protest or riot or disruption absolves you of the actions of that moment.
Yeah, that actually has been an issue that's come up repeatedly now, particularly Antifa, but a lot of far-left groups have been defining some of their members as journalists or observers, even though they're very much participants. For example, Good, who was the first of those two shootings, insisted that she was a legal observer. I've represented legal observers in protest cases, and she was not acting as a legal observer. She was a participant. And you have the same things happening with some people who don vests saying press when they really are part of these groups. So courts have had to work through this by looking at their conduct, not how they define themselves, but what did they do? Now, that doesn't mean that Don Lemon cannot make the case as a journalist. Courts are going to take that very seriously, but we're going to have to look very closely at the basis for his arrest, why there was a finding of probable cause, and what was the conduct that was being cited in that proceeding.
All right, Professor Jonathan Turley, thanks for breaking that down for us today.
Hey.
Everyone's heard of speed dating. But what if I told you there's now speed funding for businesses, where lenders actually fight over businesses doing more than $200,000 in top-line revenue? And you can get up to $3 million of funding as early as tomorrow. Sounds too good to be true? Then come closer. I'm about to show you how you can access the capital your business needs without putting up a king's ransom to get it. You don't need a $100 million business. You don't need to spend weeks filling out paperwork. And you certainly don't need to pay sky-high interest rates. Now, here's the part that's really interesting. Right now, as you're watching this, there are literally thousands of lenders desperate to fund businesses exactly like yours. I'm not kidding. And here's why. Once a business hits $200,000 in annual revenue, they've proven something the lenders are dying to see, a business model that works. I mean, think about it. The lenders, well, they can't make money unless they're funding proven businesses like yours. It's their entire business model. What would you do with up to $3 million of capital behind you? Would you invest more in your best people to give them the growth opportunities they deserve? Scale your marketing to acquire even more customers? Say yes to more opportunities that are bigger? Or maybe you just hire more folks to make your life easier. Well, there's literally billions of dollars just sitting there waiting for businesses exactly like yours. Not the tiny startups still figuring things out. Not the massive corporations with their fancy boardrooms. I'm talking about businesses in that sweet spot doing between $200,000 and $10 million per year. Sound familiar? Well, that's exactly what My Business Loan Companion is for. My Business Loan Companion is designed to help business owners like you get the funding you need quickly and easily. With My Business Loan Companion, you get fast loan approvals. Money can be in your account as early as tomorrow. Flexible repayment terms that work with your cash flow. No collateral required, so your assets stay protected, and a whole lot more. And this isn't some shady fly-by-night operation either. My Business Loan Companion only works with the top lenders to help businesses like yours get the funding they need. And look, I know what you're thinking. Is this thing for real? It's probably going to take a lot of time, right? Like, do I need to hire an accountant or spend hours on paperwork? Well, actually, no. The form takes 2 minutes. You need to answer a couple of questions like the type of your business and your revenue, and the money can be in your account as early as tomorrow. So you can get back to what really matters, growing your business. So obviously I can't explain all the ins and outs of a business loan in a 2-minute video, but if you want quick and reliable funding for your business, click the link in this video and put in your information on the next page. It only takes 2 minutes, and if you qualify, you can get up to $3 million. Go ahead and click the link, and make sure you click the button at the end to get your quote.
real me, and
This is an AI replacement. The background is real,
the AI character is not.
but we can flip it.
Real person, AI background. We can go anywhere and do anything, all thanks to AI. You can do crazy visual effects like this that are guaranteed to get you more views, or you can build an AI clone to do all of your content creation.